the village of Allihies, southwest Cork, in this most beautiful part of the country. As you can see, the sun is shining and you can see it in all its glory.
So we're in the Copper Mine Museum, and Allihies in Irish is Nahalaki. Anne, would you say it?
Nahalaki, both
Either will work.
are acceptable.
Okay.
And it means the cliffs, the Gaelic word for the cliffs. And if you're going to spend some time here, you'll see why that name is very suitable, because we have some very sheer, breathtaking cliffs just a little while
just
away
from
the museum. Yeah. You can't talk about the mining story in Allihies without talking about Butte, Montana, because obviously it's so much part of the story here. The 1860s onwards, there was a decline in the copper, but that then coincided with Butte, Montana opening up as a major copper mining industry as we know. There began a huge migration to Butte, Montana.
In the years between 1870 and 1915, 1,300 people left the parish of Iries. That's that whole mass, not just the village, but the parish of Iries. And 1,100, and no, I'm not sure, is it 28 or 38? But it's definitely 1,100, 28 or 38, went to Butte. I was looking at the graveyard and thinking, how many mums and dads are buried in that graveyard who said goodbye to their children and never ever saw them again? You know, such sadness. Certainly they had expertise in mining. They had learned the skills here in Allihies. But there are also people who went because there was a future in Butte. They mightn't have had the skills. Maybe their uncle or their brother went, but they would have followed in droves to Butte. But they left extreme hardship here, and that's why they were going. And I mean, that's evidenced in this picture here of a family who, like, there's a dad and a mum and 1, 2, 3, 4 children. You know, I mean, can you describe a more poverty-stricken family? You know, they're living in a hovel. You know, they have no running water. They have none of the facilities we have nowadays. Their food is really limited, and their lives are really, really hard. These are names of men from the peninsula who died directly as a result of working in the mines. So they're all names that are very familiar to people in Montana: McCarthy, Sullivan, Neal, Lynch, Crowley. We dedicated this particular section to the memory and to the shared history between Allihies and Butte, Montana. Here are some artefacts that we got from when we were there. Over here we've got illustrations of what a typical journey for somebody who left here to go to Butte, Montana might have looked like. So it was like hardship all the way, really, because even to get from here to the port from which they left, you're talking about over 100 miles. The ships that they went across were absolutely terrible. There are legendary stories, you know, death was rife. They had to then survive maybe 4, maybe more weeks at sea in these ships. And then on reaching America, they were forced with another arduous task of traveling right across to get to Butte, Montana. So they were in completely different territory, different climate. Very often we've heard stories of them having to stop in places like New York to work to earn the fare, the train fare, to get across to the Rockies to make their journey westwards across the States. So Allihies now is a fantastic place to live. I can say that with authority, seeing as I've lived here all my life. Very vibrant community, multicultural, very interesting place to live. Quite an eclectic community of people live here. Tourism, fishing, farming would still be the mainstay of, would be 2 very important industries here. And tourism now plays a huge part of our local economy. So we're inside in the burial ground. This is the older part of the burial ground. So all the names that are here, you'll find in Butte. Loads of O'Sullivans, Harringtons, Murphys, O'Sheas. So we're going to go up through the village itself. This was the primary school. closed, I think, in the 60s, open to correction, but I think the 60s. And this second house I lived in that for a couple of years. This is the parish church. So we're going up the hill to where the main man engine is, the north engine, and you'll see remnants of the mine. You'll see residue of rock on the hill, and you can see the man engine way up here, which is at night time is lit up, which is rather beautiful, I must say. So this is the road that all the workers would have had to travel to get up to the mine, to get into the mine. So it's high above the village of Allihies. And cold, even on a September day. So I'm sure in wet winter weather it would have been a very bleak walk, would have been very hard road to get up to work a long, long shift. And some of the women and children worked outdoors around the entrance to the mine while the men went down to the pit.